When I returned from my trip abroad, my parents revealed they'd drained my savings to purchase a condo for my sister. "She's got her own place now," my father declared, beaming, the day I got back. The next morning, I reached out to a lawyer. I'd been gone for just over 2 months. What started as a business trip to Amsterdam morphed into a personal odyssey. I extended my stay, a few days in Vienna, then Budapest, and a serene week by Lake Como. I was approaching my 30th birthday, and I wanted to mark it far from the monotony of routine. My hometown had begun to feel stifling. My job was decent, my home was fine, everything was just adequate. But I was done with adequate. I yearned for solitude, fresh surroundings, and space to think. While I was away, my sister, Emily, turned 26. She didn't chase any grand escapades. She stayed rooted at home, always my parents' biggest fan. I called her on her birthday, sent a shawl from Paris, and wished her well. She thanked me, dropping hints about exciting changes ahead. I didn't pry. Emily always spoke in airy, hopeful phrases. Last year, her big plan was a smoothie delivery service that fizzled out in weeks. Before that, it was pottery classes. Nothing ever lasted. Yet she was the cherished one, the favorite. Always had been. Growing up, it was like she glowed with some unearned luck. Our parents treated her like a fragile jewel, precious, delicate, always elevated. Me, I was just present. I never asked for much. I worked hard. I saved diligently. I did everything expected of me quietly. And because I never stirred trouble, they assumed I needed nothing, especially not their care. I came home on my 30th birthday. The milestone. I dropped my bags by the door, intending to unpack later. I roamed the house, sensing the strange emptiness of returning after a long absence. Everything seemed normal until I checked the closet in my study. The safe was gone, not opened, not tampered with, just gone. At first, I wondered if I'd misplaced it. Maybe I'd moved it before leaving, but I tore the house apart. It wasn't there. That safe held $140,000, every dollar earned through bonuses, investments, and weekend side hustles. That money was my safety net. My future, my independence. I was still grappling with its absence when I drove to my parents' house. I thought there might be an explanation. Maybe they'd stored it safely. Maybe there'd been a break-in. My mind churned through scenarios on the drive. They greeted me warmly as if nothing was amiss. Smiles, hugs. My father was brimming with excitement. He said he had news. Emily had her own place now. He announced it like it was a triumph, like I'd be thrilled. A sleek condo in the city. Compact, modern, fully paid. I asked how. That's when the truth unraveled. My parents had entered my home, taken the safe, and used every cent to buy Emily the condo. They believed it was the right choice, that I didn't need the money, that Emily needed stability, that it was a family matter, that I'd get it. They spoke as if they'd done something noble, as if they'd used their own funds, as if I should be thankful. I didn't shout, I didn't break down, I just left. I sat in my car for an hour, processing, letting it sink in. Then I went home and sat on the floor of my empty study where the safe once stood. My birthday passed unnoticed. No cake, no calls, not even a message from Emily. The next day, I called the police. They said it was a family issue. Apparently, parents taking from their adult child isn't theft, so I hired a lawyer, shared everything, provided evidence, receipts, bank records, photos of the safe. That same day, we started building the case. That's when I realized I was done being the obedient son. That role was always Emily's. Let her have it, but she wouldn't have my money, not without a fight. I thought legal action would bring clarity to the mess. It felt like the rational step. Professional, straightforward. I expected resistance, but I thought it would spark discussions, compromises, maybe even remorse. I didn't expect what followed. 2 days after my lawyer sent a formal demand for repayment or the condo, I came home from the gym to find my father in my kitchen, just standing there as if it was normal. He'd used the spare key. Again. The one I hadn't taken back. He wasn't yelling, he didn't beg. He just folded his arms and said I was blowing things out of proportion. He claimed I was shaming the family, stirring drama over what he called a generous act. He used those words, a generous act. He went on about how Emily was finally happy, settling in, and how this was my chance to show family loyalty. Not once did he acknowledge the theft. Not once did he admit they'd taken everything without permission. His whole argument was just let it go, because that's what good sons do. I told him to leave. He did eventually. But not before warning that they were considering legal action too. That once lawyers got involved, everyone loses. I changed the locks that night, threw the old key away. The next day, Emily posted a polished video tour of her new condo. My condo, bought with my money. She smiled through each room, raving about chasing her dreams and stepping into adulthood. The caption stung, finally living the life I've earned. Good things come to those who believe, grateful, blessed. Not a word about how I was the one who paid for it. I didn't reply. I sent the video to my lawyer. He said it would help prove she'd knowingly profited from stolen funds. But that was just the beginning. That evening, my mother sent a long message. Paragraphs of calculated guilt. She said Emily was delicate, that this conflict was crushing her, that I was the strong one. Didn't I see how I was hurting everyone? She didn't ask how I was. She didn't ask why I was angry. It was all about Emily. Again. Then came the shock. A few days later, my bank flagged unusual activity on an old investment account. Someone had tried to change the password using an outdated email tied to a laptop I'd lent Emily over a year ago. I'd never cleared its autofill data. So while I was gone, not only had they taken my money, they'd tried to dig deeper. To see if there was more to grab, I stared at the security alert and something in me broke. That last flicker of doubt, the voice saying maybe it's a misunderstanding, went quiet. This wasn't an error. It was deliberate, calculated. Intentional. I changed every password, added fraud alerts to all accounts, hired a forensic accountant to track every transaction, and I told my lawyer, go all in. You want to fight? So do I. Things escalated quickly. 2 weeks after filing the lawsuit, my parents countersued, accusing me of emotional harm, neglecting family obligations, and, this one was absurd, interfering with a gift. They framed the theft as generosity I was maliciously undoing. My lawyer said their case was flimsy, but seeing my own parents cast me as the villain in writing was unreal. Then came the harassment. First, my garbage bins disappeared. I thought it was a municipal mistake, so I replaced them. A week later, someone left rotting fish on my doorstep. The smell was vile. 3 days after that, eggs were thrown at my car twice. The second time with salami slices stuck to the paint, an old trick to ruin it. Repairs cost nearly $1,000. I didn't want to assume it was Emily or my parents, but the timing was telling. So I installed cameras. High-quality, obvious ones. 3 days later, I caught Emily's ex, Ryan, on video dumping a trash bag in my driveway. Inside, torn papers, food waste, and charred mail. Strangely specific. I sent the footage to my lawyer, who filed for a restraining order. Emily denied involvement, claiming Ryan acted alone. But we all knew the truth. I wasn't even angry anymore, just detached. Each petty act strengthened my resolve. We pushed harder. My attorney filed to freeze the condo's title, halt renovations, and audit all transfers from my accounts. We subpoenaed Emily's finances. Then, the revelation. We found she'd applied for a credit card using my social security number. The application was rejected, her credit was awful, but the attempt was recorded. Suddenly, this wasn't just a civil matter, it was criminal. Identity theft. A felony. My lawyer passed it to a criminal attorney. We filed a police report with all the evidence. Application records, IP addresses, timestamps. An investigation started. I didn't warn my family. Let the system handle it. Meanwhile, the audit showed the condo wasn't the only purchase. Emily had spent nearly $9,000 on furnishings. A high-end bed, smart TV, coffee machine, custom shelves, likely empty, using a shared account I'd overlooked. The evidence was clear, my money, her spending. My lawyer moved to force the sale of the condo and recover damages. The court froze the title. She couldn't sell, lease, or remodel. I also sued for the full $140,000, legal fees and property damages. Then the fallout. My father called non-stop. I ignored him. He texted, we can resolve this before it gets worse. Gets worse. It was never out of control. They just lost their hold. Emily deleted her social media. Her friends unfollowed me, some messaging to say they were ashamed of me. Clueless. But the hardest blow. My mom sent a photo of our family on a Maine vacation years ago. No words, just the image, as if memories erased betrayal. A trial is inevitable now. The criminal case is separate but progressing. Emily could face real consequences. As for the money, my lawyer expects most of it back through the condo's court-ordered sale and wage garnishment if Emily ever works. It won't be quick or simple, but I don't want the condo. I want the lesson to stick. Theft isn't love. Before the legal storm, Emily's confidence faltered. She stopped posting, skipped events, then came her email, to my lawyer, not me, offering to work something out. No apology, no mention of repayment. We ignored it, no more negotiating. The audit laid it all bare. $140,000 for the condo, $9,000 in furniture, $1,200 in delivery food, $4,000 in spa retreats. She'd spent freely, assuming no repercussions. Then, irony, Emily lost her part-time job, couldn't cover the condo's bills. Her lawyer offered installment payments. No sale, no apology, just figures, but we'd found a gap. The condo's title was under a holding company my parents used, and my initials were on the wire transfer. Paperwork matters. That made me a partial owner. My attorney filed to foreclose. Now Emily had a choice, repay in full or lose the condo entirely. For the first time, she faced loss. The money came back in pieces. The condo sold. After fees, I recovered $126,500. Not everything, but enough. I moved it to a new bank under a new business name. No more mistakes. Then I did what I'd known I would since I returned. I cut them off, completely. Blocked numbers, emails, socials, no explanations, no farewells. I sold my house. The buyers loved the garden, great for pets or kids. I didn't mention its past, packed 2 bags. Booked a one-way ticket to Portugal, left on a chilly October morning. Now I live in a small Porto apartment, balcony with worn tiles, river view. I work remotely. Drink too much coffee, walk everywhere. A bartender friend calls me Americano. We barely speak the same language, but it works. Some nights I sit by the river with cheap wine and reflect on how it came to this. Not just the money, the whole thing. How long I let them treat me as dispensable. How I was the responsible one, yet the overlooked one. Then I smile because it's absurd, like a dark story where home was never secure. Here it's calm, real, mine. I share this not for sympathy, just to say it aloud. Every piece of this chaos helped. So thank you, from Portugal, Daniel.